are so proud to welcome you to the 2026 Emerge Annual Luncheon here in San Francisco. I would also like to thank my fellow co-hosts for their incredible work filling this room. We are so grateful to each and every one of you for being part of this community, because that is what Emerge is. It's a network, not just an organization, but it's a force. It's a pipeline of women. Louder. How about louder? Can we get a little more volume? No one's ever accused me of being quiet before. How about now? All right. Hi. All right. Again, I'm Lisa Farmer. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. I want to thank my co-hosts, Adriana Quintero and Sheila Normile Thompson, for working together with me and our host committee this year to fill this gorgeous room. How about a round of applause for all of you? Emerge is a community, not just an organization. It's a network, a force, and a pipeline of women who are stepping up to lead at every level. In the 10 years that I've been involved with Emerge, I've held many roles as a volunteer. Most recently as chair of the national board. I'm currently a member of the advisory board and the C4 board, and of course, an eternal fundraiser. In those 10 years, I've watched Emerge grow to an incredible organization that is the nation's largest network of women elected officials and candidates. And wow, it could not be more important than it is today.
Hi, everyone. As Lisa said, I'm Adriana Quintero, and I'm really excited to be here with you all today because what we need most right now is hope. Across the country, we're seeing the impacts of poor and failing leadership, the extremism that's invading every corner, it feels like, rights being rolled back, and voices being silenced when decisions are being made. And Emerge exists to change that. Emerge recruits, trains, and helps select women, democratic women, and especially women of the new democratic majority, who are ready to lead and eager to lead and ready to make the impact that we all need today. Today you're going to hear from them. And these women are making some serious waves in the best way. You're going to hear from attorneys general who are defending our rights in real time and defending our democracy. And you're going to hear from leaders who are breaking the mold for what leaders do and how leaders look and who we are. We need more of that. And we need that leadership. You're also going to hear, and we don't need to tell you, but why investing in Emerge is so important today. And I do mean investing, because it's a powerful moment where we can actually change the future. We can change the energy, we can change the tide by helping to elect women. And that's what Emerge is going to do with every bit of your generosity. I'm proud to support Emerge, and I hope that you all will also support Emerge. You can do so with the QR codes that are at your table. You can also do so afterwards and online. But we really invite you to think of the importance of that investment in this moment. Thank you again all for being here. Enjoy your lunch and enjoy this wonderful and inspiring moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Adriana. This really is the most inspiring and hopeful event of the year. If you're not feeling like 1,000% excited and fired up right now, I promise you in about 45 minutes you are going to leave here walking on air. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce my friend, my 10-year comrade, the President and CEO of Emerge, Ashanti Gholar. That's right. Ashanti is celebrating her 10th year with Emerge, her 6th year as our leader. She's been blazing the trail ever since she co-founded Emerge Nevada, stepped into a national role as political director, and now as our CEO, she is bringing training to women across the country who will win. We have been in the trenches together, and we have outlasted, and we will continue to outlast. There will be more of us And one day, they won't remember us because we were here now, but there's going to be generations of us thanks to you, Ashanti. So now I invite you to the stage so I can give you a big hug. All right, let's do it. All right, everybody, Ashanti Gholar.
Lisa making me cry. She knows I don't like to mess up my eyelash extensions. Thank you. All righty. Hello, everyone. How are you? Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, Lisa and Adriana, for that amazing introduction to Sheila. And I just really, really have to start off by saying that there is just thank you. Thank you all so much. As Lisa mentioned, I'm celebrating a decade at Emerge. Started off as political director, and that was on April 4th of this month, and then in February, 6 years as president. So I have seen this organization grow. Our co-chairs, our host committee, and our sponsors who have made this event possible, thank you. Thank you all so much. I, of course, have to start off by also recognizing the amazing women in our network. If you are an Emerge alum, please stand to be recognized. And I know we have here with us today our Lieutenant Governor, Eleni Kounalakis. I think she might have snuck in our State Controller, Malia Cohen. Yes. Just love those two. They are absolutely killing it here in California. And of course, will our Emerge board and advisory board members please stand to be recognized? And I do not do this work alone. There is an amazing team across the country that gets up every day, 365 days a year, and is in this fight with me. So to all of our Emerge team members who are watching, thank you, but will the Emerge team members in the room please stand to be recognized? And a big round of applause for all of our servers, the staff, who are union members. Okay, so I'm about to get into my presentation. This is where we are. It is unfortunately no secret that right now our rights have been under attack from every direction by this administration. From ICE raids that are killing and imprisoning American citizens to unjust wars in other countries, and the economy in peril from countless bad and reckless decisions, it has been quite the year. That's why I am so lucky that every day I get to wake up and do this work at Emerge. Because our Emerge alums in office right now continue to meet this moment, and they're pushing back. They are truly the defenders of our democracy, and I feel grateful every day that we have them in office. I'm gonna start off with some of our alums in Congress. We have incredible women like Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, who is currently being unjustly prosecuted by this administration for doing her job by providing oversight and accountability at their ICE facilities in New Jersey. We have Congresswomen Becca Ballin and Melanie Stansberry, who have been outspoken advocates for survivors in the wake of the release of the Epstein files. And no matter how many distractions they try to make, we're not going to forget about the files. At the state level, we know that the impact is even more direct because that is where the majority of office holders are. In New Mexico, my mentee, Senator Cindy Nava, has helped advance economic packages for low-income and working families. And in Virginia, Delegate Adele McClure, who recently announced that she is running for Congress this year, has been a part of efforts focused on tax fairness for working families. And this is just a small fraction of the work that Emerge alums are doing across the country at every level. And I have to recognize some of the work here in California, of course, because did you know that it was Emerge women that led Prop 50 to victory? Whether that's Congresswoman Latifah Simon, State Senator Sasha Renee Perez, or my girl, former Emerge California Executive Director Melanie Ramil, who is now Deputy Executive Director of the California Democratic Party, she ran the Prop 50 campaign. These women are all speaking out and stepping up. As our alums rise to meet the moment that we are in, we know that our organization must also evolve to ensure that we are setting ourselves up for a strong future where we are reaching even more women in this important moment. The country is changing quickly. Women of the new American majority, that's Black, brown, and indigenous women, women of color, young women, unmarried women, LGBTQ+ women, they are concentrated in key regions across this country. Voters are shifting, and what does that mean? It means that the path to power looks different today, even than it did when I started here at Emerge a decade ago. And in order to expand our reach, this year, Emerge made the decision to move to a multi-state regional staffing model. Over the past years, we have had many discussions about how we position Emerge for the future. We worked with our board leadership and had conversations with and input from staff over the past several years to create a plan that will strengthen our organization and keep us growing for the long term, to get more women trained, more women in the pipeline, more women in office. We're continuing our on-the-ground trainings in all of our existing states, including our very first state of California, but this new model will now enable us to make our training accessible to women in all 50 states and territories. The new structure also lets us build a stronger, more sustainable organization by allowing our staff to focus on what matters most. That's recruiting, that is training, and that is supporting our women leaders. As you can see from the map, our organization has grown exponentially since our first affiliate was founded in 2001. And this year, with this new structure, we are excited about the new women we have already been able to train, not only train, but they are already on the ballot. We are expecting record interest in races at every state and at every level. Here are some of the highlights. This year, we were able to train Councilwoman Mary Allen from Evansville, Indiana. A veteran and a small business owner, she's running for Congress this fall to flip the 8th Congressional District blue. In Delaware, we were able to train Adriana Lima Bohm, a union member, a teacher, a community organizer, and a daughter of an immigrant who is running for the 1st District in the State Senate. In Florida, Sanja Azim is running for Broward County School Board. A lifelong educator, she is hoping to improve the system there for all students. For those of you who have been with us on this journey for 21 years, you know that has been a goal of ours to make this training accessible to women in all 50 states. And this model will enable us to do just that. You have all been here supporting us and cheering us on, and we are so grateful for your ongoing support. We are excited about the future of Emerge and changing with the needs of women, because we have to be honest, what it takes to run for office continues to change. And as an organization, we have to evolve. And we have to make sure that we continue to be as effective and impactful as possible. Our mission and vision, it all remains the same: to build a powerful national network, support women everywhere, and to be ready for moments like this in 2026 and beyond. And the fact is, it's working. Last year was an incredible year for Emerge for so many reasons. And y'all know I always come with the data, so let's talk about it. In 2025, our organization was able to train more than 1,000 women. And our alums won at an incredible rate in last year's election with a 77% win rate overall. Yet again, the most out of any organization, and I'm going to continue to brag because y'all know it's my favorite thing to do. 58% of our candidates overall were New American majority, which just shows how effective we are at recruiting these women to run, but also what happens when you let them know that there's an organization that is supporting them, that wants to see their leadership in office. And they achieved a win rate of 75%, which is just stellar. And of course, our first-time candidates. We remain very consistent here. They had a 63% win rate. That's 6 times the national average for first-time candidates and points to the effectiveness of our training programs. I started with Emerge in Nevada, and I now live in Virginia. And we know that 2016, we didn't get the win that we wanted. And what we saw at Emerge is the next day, we had women emailing us, calling us, messaging us on social media saying, we want to run for office. And that is when our strategy comes in. We knew that in 2017 in Virginia, the House of Delegates was going to be up. So what did? We looked at districts that were held by white Republican men that Secretary Clinton won, because we knew that they would vote for good Democratic women if you put them on the ballot. And that is exactly what happened. In 2017, our Emerge alums made history in Virginia by flipping 9 seats from red to blue. And we didn't stop there, because this is what we did last year. Going into last year, Emerge had 33 women on the ballot for the Virginia House of Delegates. 25 of them won their races. The Virginia House of Delegates, it has 100 seats. That means that Emerge alums are a quarter of the Virginia House of Delegates. And we didn't stop there, because why not have a governor as well? We are so proud of Abigail Spanberger, and in her first 100 days, I just want to talk about a little bit of what she has accomplished, such as lowering prescription drug costs, signing paid family and medical leave into law, putting Virginia on track to become the first Southern state with a comprehensive statewide program, and passing a package of housing, healthcare, and energy affordability laws. Living in Virginia, I get to see the impact. My governor is an Emerge alum, my mayor is an Emerge alum, and the first Emerge win of the year, that person is now my state senator, an Emerge alum. Talking about expanding our work, I'm smiling very hard in this picture because this was my first event of the year. I got to go to North Carolina, where we graduated the very first Emerge cohort with the Black Women's Leadership Collective. That class brought us so many incredible Black women from across the state, several of whom are running for office this year, including Lakeisha Womack, who is running for Congress in North Carolina's 14th District, Janine Ackles, and Valeria Levy, who are running for the State House. And with, Valeria, I do have to focus on her for a moment, because she beat an anti-trans candidate in the primary to advance to the general election in November. We are so excited about expanding our work into North Carolina and can't wait to see what these women do in the fall. But across the Emerge network, already in California, Georgia, Kentucky, Maryland, Massachusetts, Nevada, New Mexico, Oregon, South Carolina, Virginia, Washington, told y'all we're everywhere now. This is where we have graduated programs. We have also hosted our National Virtual Boot Camp and our National Signature programs as well. We have the 5th class of Seated Together, our award-winning advanced candidate training for Black women elected officials who are running for higher office. And we have our Emerge Rising series. I think a lot of you may have heard about that last year. When I talk about us meeting the moment, one of the things that we did is we looked back at, unfortunately, what this administration was doing with getting rid of formal federal workers. As someone who worked in the Department of Labor during the Obama administration, these were colleagues, these were friends, and these were people who I knew showed up every day as servant leaders to do the work to help their fellow Americans. So we launched Emerge Rising, a training series to help those women step up and run for federal office, state office, and we're continuing that work by launching a new program through the Emerge Action Fund called Meeting the Moment, which is a new 90-minute program to teach women how to respond to the actions of this administration through civic engagement. And this is what happens when we do our work, when we wake up every day to do it, when we meet the moment where we're strategic. This is going to be a truly historic year for Emerge and our candidates. We already have more than 500 candidates who have stepped forward to run, and we expect to have hundreds more once all the filing deadlines have passed. With this map, more than 50 Emerge alums have decided to run for statewide and federal office in 2026. Thank you. That includes 18 for statewide office, more than 40 for the House, and 3 for the United States Senate. Now, I know we got Emerge alums who are watching and looking at this map. Do not come for me. I know it's already out of date because y'all have messaged us already saying that you're going to be running and you're not on the map. Baby, we're going to get you on the map. And of course, I have to highlight a great woman that you saw at our 20th anniversary event, Michigan State Senator Mallory McMurrow, who is running for United States Senate this year in Michigan. And last year, we gave her our Cecile Richards Impact Award. And I have to shout out my amazing Emerge California team members who are in the room. As we can see on the map, we have 8 women running for Congress right here in California. I've already got to meet some of you who are here today, and we are so excited about the leadership they will bring to the state. Congratulations to Christy, the executive director who is here with us, and the Emerge California team and board. Please stand to be recognized, and let's give them a round of applause. This is the impact of Emerge and what investing in our training programs can produce over the long term. Let's get into the next 5 years. We're doing this work now, but we keep our eyes on the future. As we implement phase 2 of the Emerge 2035 vision, we will continue to run our longtime signature programming while strategically introducing new programming to increase our impact, expand our visibility, and of course, demonstrate our effectiveness. One of those programs I'm really excited about is Emerge University, focusing on engaging young people to run for office and becoming community leaders. Very excited. Oh, did someone say smart? Oh, thank you. I came up with that one myself. Thank you. We are also excited to be piloting a school board training this summer to teach women how to run for this position. I don't think I need to talk about why this is important. We need to make sure that we are expanding our work here. We have so many Emerge alums who are already serving on school boards across the country, and we want to make sure that we are getting more women into those positions. We're also going to reach new groups like veterans, enhance our relationship with labor, expand our advanced candidate leadership program, Seated Together, to reach Latina, AA-NHPI, and Indigenous women. We also know from recent studies that women candidates and candidates of color have not been recruited through those traditional top-down approaches. Instead, the data shows this. They are overwhelmingly recruited by organizations like ours, organizations like Emerge. As they continue to face steep barriers around fundraising and volunteer recruitment, we know that those are 2 of the most critical drivers of electoral success. We know that by scaling Seated Together to reach all of our affinity groups, we can rewrite that story and recruit the next generation of leaders to rebuild and create a better government for all. And I'm not going to go into it because later you will get to hear from the first woman speaker of the Pennsylvania House, Joanna McClinton, who will tell you all about Seated Together. These are the goals of Emerge 2035. With this 5-year plan, it will enable us to continue our work toward our ambitious goals, as you can see here. And the plan is working. How do we know? More bragging. We have grown to have more than 7,000 Emerge alums across the country, and the women in our network are winning. We are very proud to say that we currently have over 1,200 Emerge alums serving in office across the country, the most out of any organization. That is the power of Emerge. But to continue to grow our network and deepen our impact, we do need your support. Here is where I start to ask you for money. Last year, we launched our 5-year, $50 million comprehensive campaign across all 3 of our entities. We have a 527, we have a C4, we have a C3. We expanded to have all 3 entities because in this moment, to do this work, you have to be able to approach it from all angles, political, non-political. And that will expand the delivery of our programs, recruit and train thousands more women, and strengthen our alumni network with advanced training and support. Our plan is simple. We just want to scale what we know works. $15 million will build a bench of diverse women leaders, focus on recruitment efforts and data analysis. $25 million will expand our training programs, adding staff and enhancing our suite of specialized training. $10 million will strengthen our community of alums to continue to deepen our impact beyond the ballot box. Emerge is never just about the next election. It is about reshaping American leadership for generations to come. And that is the aim of this campaign. I am so grateful to those of you who are in the room who have already made multi-year commitments to this campaign, and I do hope others join you. They are willing to tell you why they are making the investment, because we know that we can do this together. So today, please know that every dollar raised will go towards these incredible goals. Here's to many more years of Emerge Women in Power, and thank you all so much for everything you do to allow us to do this work and change the face of leadership across the country. Thank you.
Please welcome National Advisory Board member Gretchen Sisson.
No? Okay, we got it. We'll get there. We'll get there together eventually. It is my real honor to be here again before you this year to introduce the Cecile Richards Award. It is such a pleasure to get to give this award every year because it gives me an excuse to talk to you all about my friend and mentor, Cecile Richards. Yes, I can. I've done this almost without crying the last 2 years, so this will be the year, I think. Cecile was an exceptional leader of a very challenging movement, and she was so successful because she was brilliant, and she was fierce, and she was focused, and she understood that this movement was one based on trust. Based on trust in that it was rooted in the faith in people to make decisions about their own bodies, and based on trust that if we want to be bold and innovative and successful, we need to know we have each other's backs. And that's what brings us today to our attorneys general. The single most important change in our laws since the Dobbs decision has been the advancement of telehealth shield law abortion provision. Shield laws have entirely changed the landscape of how we provide abortion in this country to the extent that we have been able to expand access since Dobbs And in many places in this country, it is now easier to get an abortion than it was under Roe v. Wade. But putting the laws in place is one thing. Convincing doctors that they could trust those laws, that they could use those laws, that they could serve their patients with the protection of the SHIELD laws was something entirely different. And their ability to provide was rooted in the trust that they could have in their governors and their attorneys general to defend and protect them once they started using those laws. The Massachusetts and Vermont SHIELD laws were some of the first and most comprehensive to be passed. We can take that a little personally in California, but they were. And the reason that they have been so successful is because of the personal assurances of the administrations in both of those states to be able to have doctors' backs and know that they are not just serving patients in Massachusetts and Vermont and throughout New England, but all over the country, including our banned states. Cecile would be so proud. I'm so sorry. Next year will be the year. I feel it.
We all miss her.
Yes, we do all miss her. And I think I said this last year, but it sounds very fancy for me to be able to stand up here and say that Cecile Richards was my mentor, but everybody in the movement thought that they were her mentee, and that's part of what she built. Everybody came out, they're like, she was my mentor. I was like, get in line. We all loved her. And she made herself so indispensable, and that's why I still get choked up just thinking about her and her legacy, because I do know that she would be so, so proud of what we've been able to build, given the legal environment that we are in. So, with that, I'm delighted to bring up to the stage Massachusetts Attorney General Andrea Campbell. And Vermont Attorney General Charity Clark.
Follow the instructions.
Thank you so much, Gretchen, and I just absolutely love Charity, Andrea, and we just overall love our attorneys general. With the work that Emerge does, we have so many partnerships, and I love the fact that we get to partner with the Democratic Attorneys General Association on their women's initiative to put more women in office. I also get to serve on the C4 board for the Dem AGs, so I really get a behind-the-scenes look at how powerful AGs are, but particularly the work that these two women do. I am always in awe of them, and I have to take a moment, a personal privilege, to also recognize my friend who is in the room. She just supports me so much, the executive director of the Democratic Attorneys General Association, Michelle Ortiz. Okay, so we are about to have a really great conversation, and I want to also welcome someone who is professionally and personally important to me and who really embodies the Lift As You Climb culture. As I talked about, being from Nevada, it's not just another state, it's my home state, and it's a story that is so deeply connected to my work that I do here and Emerge. I get to bring up someone who gets to represent my home district in Nevada in the state Senate. And when I went to that very first meeting about discussing bringing Emerge to Nevada, I never thought that I would actually get to see my nieces and nephews grow up in a better Nevada due to Emerge alums, but particularly this woman that I'm going to talk about right now. She is the first woman Senate Majority Leader. She has won so many tough races. She has stood up to a recall attempt, and she has consistently delivered for Nevada families. She protected vote by mail. She led the fight to permanently protect abortion rights, and she expanded access to affordable health care in our state. That is the kind of leadership that this moment calls for, and now she is stepping up to run for Attorney General of Nevada, where we know this work is more critical than ever. I am so excited. Please join me in welcoming Emerge alum, Nevada's Senate Majority Leader, Attorney General candidate, and my friend, Nicole Cannizzaro, to the stage.
Thank you so much. And I'll say AGs are some of my favorite candidates to talk to because does everyone know what AG stands for? All together. Aspiring governor. I'm not speaking for any of these women individually yet. But I think that what's exciting about attorneys general is not just what they are doing right now in their incredible roles, which we'll talk about, but because this is an Emerge room, this is a pipeline role, right? Once you get these women in these badass roles statewide, the sky's the limit with where they can go. So I'm really excited for you to get to know these three women especially. So across the country right now, attorneys general are on the front line. They're going to court, they're pushing back, they're defending our rights, freedoms, and our democracy in real time. And they are not doing it alone. They are part of a growing network of Emerge women across the country, stepping into leadership, supporting one another, and delivering for their communities. That is the power of the nation's largest network of women elected officials and candidates. And the women on the stage represent exactly that. We are honored to have Massachusetts Attorney General Andrea Campbell, Vermont Attorney General Charity Clark, and Senator Nicole Cannizzaro. Got it. Sorry. Great. So for all three of you, you are all on the front lines right now, and it seems as if every day all of the houses are on fire. So what in your current roles, or Nicole, in your future role, feels most urgent? You can include what the Supreme Court did this morning if you need to.
I was going to say, because I get asked this a lot, like, what are you worried about? I do a lot of reassuring of people, like, we sued over that, don't worry, we're going to win. We have over a 90% win rate on our cases against Donald Trump. But there is one issue that really concerns me, and that's the election coming up. So we have our eye on that.
Well, I think I get this question quite a lot just running for the office. And honestly, I do think I have to agree with my colleague, A.G. Clark, that it really is our right to vote. It's our voice. It's that fundamental constitutional right, the very bedrock of our democracy, that feels wild to say that that's at stake. But I think that is one of the most critical things that we are up against in a very real way.
I would just add, first of all, thank you all for being here. Thank you, Emerge. Thank you for the award and the honor and recognition, particularly for the hero that we are being honored for. And thank you for investing in Emerge. I would agree, yes, on the voting issue, especially given what happened with the Supreme Court this morning. All of us should be concerned that the Supreme Court is going in the opposite direction, especially when it comes to black voter participation in this country and the ability of black candidates to run for office and to win. But I would add the rule of law generally. I have been telling folks, I think as AGs, we talk about this quite a bit. The rule of law can seem like pie in the sky. The average person is like, what are you talking about? So I say this Constitution that we hold so dear and maybe take for granted, it's like a contract between the government and its constituencies and its business community. By extension, we owe you something. that doesn't exist. We owe you nothing. So if you were to leave this beautiful hotel and get assaulted, for example, on the street, well, good luck trying to get some justice and accountability without the rule of law. And so for me, I think really breaking that apart for folks in this moment in time to articulate why it's important, what's at stake, and why our roles matter and your future role matters is really important. I think all of us could come with examples of that, but I'm concerned about the very bedrock, the rule of law of this country and what it stands for.
And A.J. Campbell, you have been part of a number of really key multi-state coalitions that have brought suits pushing back on federal overreach, protecting a lot of fundamental rights. Can you take us behind the scenes of what that actually looks like to coordinate those challenges on a multi-state basis?
I would say, and this is A.G. Clark, we do this in partnership, and I'm sure she would add, as of right now, at least for Massachusetts, we have filed over 53, I think we're now at 54 lawsuits, protecting, of course, the rule of law, and that's even evidence in our first lawsuit, which was the supporting and protecting birthright citizenship in the 14th Amendment, but also billions of dollars in resources in Massachusetts. And in Massachusetts, the federal government has tried to come for $4 billion. Our lawsuits have protected over $3 billion in Massachusetts investments. And so to do this work across state lines, and you think about over 50 lawsuits, that requires us as AGs to put our egos and leave them at the door. And I can't discount that. It's really hard work when you think about many folks in the political space, and I don't speak in code, can sometimes make this work about them, and it's not really about us. It's about service and public service. So we put our egos aside and we work in collaboration, looking at what harm by the latest decision of the administration is going to harm our individual state, but also by extension our collective state. So whether it's protecting NIH funding, public health infrastructure, fair housing, climate, the endangerment finding, all of that, of course, has an impact in Massachusetts, but also has an impact across the country. And then I would just add, because I think it's important that A.G. Clark also speak about who she is too, along with Nicole. For me, it's also personal. I sit here as the first Black woman Attorney General of Massachusetts, the first woman of color to win statewide office in Massachusetts. And so, thank you, Lisa. But the path to get here, far from straight. All of my parents are deceased. My mom died in a car accident going to visit my father, who was in prison at the time. Didn't meet my father until I was 8 years old because he was incarcerated. First in my family to go to college. I went to Princeton undergrad, then UCLA Law School. My father, I talked to him one morning. He died the same evening when I was a sophomore at Princeton. And fast forward, my twin brother, Andrea, would die while in the custody of the prisons in Massachusetts when he was 29. So all of us do this work, yes, working together, but most importantly, with a personal narrative and a personal passion to really drive change with a sense of urgency and to meet the moment with a leadership that matches it. And I think it's really important that folks remember as we do this work, it's hard, but I would say for me personally, it's actually not that hard, given where I've come from. This is the moment in time to do what's necessary to protect not just folks in Massachusetts, by extension, to work with incredible colleagues, only Democratic AGs, unfortunately, to do the work that's necessary to protect everything we hold so dear. And of course, for the next generation, my two boys and Charity's daughter by extension. So I'll turn it over to A.G. Clark.
Can you repeat the question? I want to make
Say
sure
who
I
you
answer
are.
the question.
I'm supposed to have a different question for you.
Go for it.
Do you want to answer that question?
No, new
All right.
question. Bring it. I'm ready.
I'm only loosely in charge here. So Charity, to go with this theme of Cecile's lifetime of work and reproductive freedom, the role that attorneys general have played in defending reproductive freedom in the wake of Dobbs, what does that fight look like now? And how has your role evolved at a state level in response to that?
I have to begin by answering that I think somebody in Republican land really miscalculated the appetite that Americans have for having their fundamental rights taken from them. I mean, freedom is kind of our brand. I don't know what they were thinking. But in Vermont, we didn't forget. And the same day that I was elected Attorney General for the first time in 2022, Vermonters enshrined the right to abortion in our Constitution. And there's 251 cities and towns in the state of Vermont, and majority of voters in every single town voted yes to enshrine the right. Kind of made my job really easy. When even Trump voters are like, yeah, but not that one. We still want that right. So what we do now is we're protecting the laws that our wonderful legislature, who, by the way, I think half the women in the legislature in Vermont are Emerge alums, and they had the foresight, including our wonderful Speaker of the House, former executive director of Emerge Vermont, to put in motion that constitutional amendment and to put our abortion shield law. When I was running, that's when the Dobbs decision came down. I had a press release 2 days later. Here's our press conference. Here's what we need to do. And I had legislative leaders with me. And so, of course, everyone knew when they were voting, if we vote for Charity Clark, she's going to defend this. And I have robustly, we have a Republican governor who's not as excited about it as I am. And when I was running against a man, and this question came up. And I said, well, I'm a mother. I know what it's like to be pregnant. It's not fun. And I don't think that we should be taking this right away from anybody. And people, that authenticity of my own story as a woman, I think really communicated a lot to people who knew this lady is going to protect this. And that's what we're doing.
Thank you. Nicole, I have a question for you, and then I'm going to add my own editorializing. So you're stepping forward to run for Attorney General at a time when the role is more visible and more consequential than ever. Why this role, and why now, when you have 3 children under the age of 5?
Yeah, I showed up clean today. I didn't get slimed on the way out the door. So for me, I think a lot of it is rooted in the fact that I have very young children at home. My boys are 4, 2, and 1, and they're a wild bunch. But I think when I think about everything that we are facing right now, right, and I've been in the state Senate for the last 10 years, and we have been fighting a lot of battles. Nevada's a very purple state. And so sometimes some of these things that feel very easy or should be easy to do, we're met with a lot of opposition, even within the state and within the legislature. And so you have to sort of push back against that, right? And I'm the first woman to serve as majority leader. I'm oftentimes, when it comes to high-level leadership decisions, I'm the only woman who's sitting in that room. And a lot of times I feel as though I'm bringing a perspective that they've never thought about, cared about, wanted to hear about, don't want to hear about, and have found myself asserting myself sometimes in more eloquent ways than others. For some will remember, I was once asked if I was like brave enough or gutsy enough to do something, and I was like, excuse me. I've grown more sets than you all have in this room, so like, don't worry about me. And I think right now what we are watching, right, and what we are observing on a day-by-day basis, and it feels impossible to answer questions like, what is the most pressing thing? Because the answer, honestly, is like, what happens tomorrow? I don't know. Is that they're counting on us to be silent and to be afraid, right? They're counting on that attack to be the kind of thing that silences you, so that they're the only voices in the room, so that we don't have to be there. We don't have to be loud. We don't have to take up space. We don't have to say the things that we're fighting for. And the problem with that is that our communities are counting on us to be brave. In Nevada, one of the things that we have a majority-minority state, right? We have a lot of communities, a lot of Hispanic communities in southern Nevada where Las Vegas is. And we went into a special session in November, and we were told by the Republican governor and by a lot of people that there was nothing we could do about ICE. And I'm a mom of 3. I have 3 young kids. And there are people in our neighborhoods who are afraid to send their kids to school because they are afraid that they might not come home. That, to me, is horrifying. To think that your kid might not come home because ICE is going into schools. And so when I said, well, I'm going to put some language into, the governor had a criminal justice bill, and I said, well, I'm going to put language in there that's going to protect students and parents, and we're going to keep ICE off of school grounds. They told me that wasn't my place. They told me that wasn't something we could do. They told me that the Trump administration was going to come into Nevada and that I was going to be responsible. And I said, well, then you know what? They're going to have to bring it, but they're going to have to go through a whole army of moms who are going to stand up for their kids, because we shouldn't have ICE agents in our schools terrorizing our communities. It's scary to think about being in a position, and I have to just give an incredible kudos to both of you, because this is a hard job, and it's a hard job now, right? But if we don't step up, and if we don't fight, and if we don't think about all those people who are counting on all of us to be brave, then we are just gonna let them silence us in the room and tell us where we should and shouldn't be, and tell us what our rights are and are not. And as a mom of 3 boys, even though they're young, and even though things get wild at my house, floor is lava most of the time, we have to fight for that, and we have to fight for them.
I only have 2 boys, so I've found that the floor is lava thing, that goes away on its own after 4 or 5 more years, but don't need to call the contractor quite yet. Quick, before we have to wrap, what is giving each of you hope right now?
I'll say 3 things. My 2 boys, I have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. And I think about breaking cycles of poverty, criminalization, mediocrity for my 2 boys, and how I am blessed to go into a job with significant tools to do that for other families. How blessed am I in my young 40s to be living and working in purpose, and God-given purpose. I never take that for granted. My middle name is also Joy, named after my biological mother, so I just don't have a choice but to stand in that. And then lastly, people. Just people on the ground, particularly in the immigration context. People are dying. We just had someone who was detained, pulled out of Massachusetts, detained in Arizona, and died while in custody because he did not get adequate health care, which reminds me of my own twin brother's story, where there was no accountability, no justice. And his mom showed up on a Zoom conversation related to TPS, because he was Haitian, to help us bring TPS, and to keep it, I should say, for our Haitian brothers and sisters in Massachusetts, and of course across the country. And this was probably a week after losing her son. How can that not give you hope and inspiration to exercise courage and leadership, and also to hopefully push others to do the same in this moment, and to call folks out in a very loving way, including, I would say, some folks in Massachusetts in our business community, in a very loving way, about the importance of stepping up, not just for individuals on TPS, but how this is not just a personal humanity thing, it's also a business issue, it's a Massachusetts issue, it's also our country's values. So people give me inspiration and hope, and then all of you being in this room investing in our leadership also gives me significant hope, because you're also exercising leadership and courage in this moment in time. Your names are public when you donate to us candidates. Thank you very much.
I will keep it very short. Honestly, it is this room, right? It's rooms like this that are supporting and helping, because it's very hard to run for office. It's hard to do these jobs. It's hard to be faced with impossible decisions and trying to manage everything from all sides. And we don't do it alone. And I think that's what gives me hope, right? That we're not doing it alone. And so this room, I'll tell you today, you all are giving me a lot of strength that I needed. So thank you for being here. And thank you. This is what gives me hope.
I would say what gives me hope is this is really cheesy and I'm just gonna say it, but our structure of government, our Constitution is solid. It's rock frickin' solid. And we live it, that's why we're winning, for real, that's why we're winning. But I wanna take this time to also say, this organization gives me hope. I have to share with you the following. In 2022, there was an open seat announced in the Attorney General's office on May 5th. On May 6th, a man, the state's attorney, announced he was running. On May 14th, I graduated from Emerge. On May 16th, I launched my campaign. The primary was August 9th. There was no campaign managers to be had on May 16th. So guess who designed her whole plan? Who did the math? Because I went to that session on math. Remember the session on math? I went to that session on math. I found the person who made my logo from my Emerge sister. I got coaching from an Emerge trainer. Hey, Charity, you're not sending out enough mailers. Who coached me on social media? All of the people in my Emerge class. Where's Ashanti? I'm getting through this without crying. So it's never happened before. Truly amazing. I am an Emerge success story, and I beat that man by 30 percentage points. Yeah. So thank you to Emerge for me and for all the people in Vermont who thought it was well past time that a woman become Attorney General.
Well, thank you to all three of you. Thank you to everyone for being here. I hope you'll get to know these three women even a little bit more. Nicole is in a really tough primary right now, and Charity and Andrea are both up for re-election this year. So all three of them have some tough races ahead of them, and I hope you'll get the chance to talk with them more this afternoon. So thank you very much.
This is a defining moment.
Across the country, Americans are facing real challenges
to our rights, our safety, and our democracy.
And in moments like this, leadership matters.
As always, Emerge women are meeting this moment.
We can write really smart legislation to protect our communities. We are not helpless in this situation.
They are speaking out.
We are in the midst of the most egregious cover-up in American history.
They're stepping up.
They are not making America safer again, and what they are doing is terrorizing immigrant families.
And we will not stand for it.
And they are delivering for their communities.
We are not backing down.
From Congress to state houses to local offices, Emerge alums are on the front lines.
Fighting for working families.
Today, I am here to stand up for Oregon.
Advancing opportunity.
I am running to serve you.
And holding power accountable.
We demand oversight. We demand accountability.
The American people have a right to know the answers to this.
This is what it looks like to lead in this moment.
And as our alums rise to meet it, so do we.
Because the path to power is changing.
Women of the new American majority are shaping the future of this country.
And Emerge is evolving to meet them where they are.
We're expanding our reach nationwide, making our training accessible in all 50 states, scaling what works,
building stronger pathways, and preparing more women to lead wherever leadership is needed. Because this moment demands more leaders.
And more ways for women to step forward.
That's why we're launching new programs.
From school board training to next generation leadership pipelines.
To ensure women are ready to lead at every level.
The impact is clear. Thousands of women trained, thousands winning. More than 1,200 Emerge alums in office right now and growing.
This is how we meet the moment.
By expanding opportunity, by building power,
by electing leaders who reflect and fight for our communities.
Emerge.
Emerge. Emerge.
Emerge is meeting this moment.
And we're building what comes next.
Please welcome event co-chair Sheila Normile Thompson.
How about now?
Woo! I have to tell you, I was sitting down there and looking at this podium and wondering if I was going to be able to see over it. So I'm incredibly happy that wearing sneakers didn't backfire on me today. So thank you all for being here. Each year, Emerge presents the Trailblazer Award to recognize an Emerge alum who has not only accomplished significant firsts for herself and her community, but who is also forging a path that can be walked by other women. Last year, in recognition of Emerge's 20th anniversary, we renamed the award to the Kamala Harris Trailblazer Award to honor the original Emerge woman and the first woman to serve as Vice President of the United States. we are honored to present this year's award to the Speaker of the Pennsylvania House, Joanna McClinton. But before we hear from the speaker, we have a special message for Speaker McClinton from our awards namesake.
Hey everyone, I am so excited to just praise and celebrate the leadership of Speaker Joanna McClinton. I met her 2 decades ago, and she was a star then and has continued to be a trailblazer. It is so fitting she is receiving this award. She has shown what it looks like to be a woman who lives in a way that is about service, that is about strength and courage. She is a mentor, she is a role model, and she's an extraordinary public servant, and frankly, one of the stars in America's political landscape. So congratulations to you, my friend. So well earned and deserved. And thank you everyone at Emerge for all the work that you do every day. See you later.
As Vice President Harris said, Joanna McClinton made history as the first woman and the first Black woman to serve as Speaker of the Pennsylvania House. But what makes her leadership so powerful isn't just the history she has made, it's what she is doing with it. She is leading with purpose. She is governing with impact, and she is bringing others along with her. Speaker McClinton is also a graduate of Emerge's Seated Together program, part of how we invest in Black women leaders across this network as they step into even greater roles. Speaker Joanna McClinton is exactly why this work matters. Because when Emerge women lead, they don't just win, they deliver. It is my distinct honor to present the Kamala Harris Trailblazer Award to Speaker Joanna McClinton.
Wow. Not sure how you all got Madam Vice President to talk about me, but thank you. Thank you, Ashanti. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Emerge. Let's give this room another round of applause. This is truly an exciting moment in time and in history when I just take a personal look back. I am one of those women that it took several asks to run. Growing up in the 80s, my biggest dream was to become an attorney. You know, you choose who my mentor was as a child, Claire Huxtable, Matlock, I won't tell you. But I knew that was my big dream. I'm going to become an attorney. And growing up in church, my pastor's wife was such an inspiration. I also hoped to be a minister. And so as I came of age, I had no idea what it would take to pursue any of the goals I had, but hoped that things would come together. I got to college, I was told in high school, major in political science. But I didn't do that to prepare for office, Ashanti. I didn't do that to look for public opportunities to run or to amplify my name or profile. I did that because that's what good pre-law students do. I got to law school, and my first summer, I worked at Regional Housing Legal Services in Montgomery County, a suburb of Philadelphia. And it was there that I began representing others. I represented nonprofits who were doing development work, housing in communities like the one I lived in at the time in Southwest Philly. The next summer, it was so exciting, and that would be the 20-year mark in which I met Madam Vice President. I worked at the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office, and at the time, San Francisco had a DA named Kamala Harris. And she was in the city of Philadelphia in the summer of 2005 for a prosecutors convention that a couple of mentors took me along to attend. And I can recall meeting her, being so proud of her work, of her leadership. But again, I had no interest in public office. I ended up coming out of law school, becoming a public defender, representing my community, standing up in court, fighting for justice and fairness, defending the Constitution of the United States every day. And I did that for almost a decade, really with hopes to, maybe stay longer, but you get to a point when you're in court a lot, some will shake their heads, that you might need a little bit of a different environment, another way to do good, to keep your blood pressure regulated. And so I found myself at a job interview for my state senator. First time was in the state capitol in Pennsylvania, was in September of 2013. Not that long ago. Got the job as his chief counsel, and I was thrilled. The happiest I'd ever been with the legal pad. I wasn't standing up in court anymore. I was in the background of every meeting, and it was awesome. Seriously. And then, in the summer of 2015, my senator said to me at work one day, you should step up and speak up for yourself. Everybody in the office thinks you would be a great state rep. I said, well, that's interesting, because I don't think I should run to be a state rep. First of all, the salary's the same, don't tell anyone. But me in the background where no one knows me versus actually talking to neighbors, asking for votes, raising money, doing things I'd never done at that point in my life, I just couldn't see how it aligned. And he said, well, that's interesting, but why don't you come to a breakfast? And I remember taking the next Friday off, sitting around a much smaller room than this one, talking to neighbors about our various walks. And as we were talking, I think I might have talked myself into it. I said, although I learned how to step up and speak for people as a public defender, I'm a youth minister at my church for over a decade. I know how to plan programs, be a mentor, actively engage in communities, stay in touch with people, solve problems. And the more I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, why don't I want to run for state rep? I could probably do that job pretty easily. I was in a special election, and I just was so excited to be a state rep. So nervous that day of my first swearing in, I might have gone to the wrong restroom twice that day. Just so nervous, so excited. And I'll tell you, fast forward, in 2018, my colleagues elected me to be our caucus chair. And in 2020, there was a time in which many of my colleagues here know people were deciding who's on the wheel of fortune. Our leader lost his re-election, and there were several great people that I still serve with, but I was definitely not next in line, having only served in the State House at that point for 5 years. But I started getting calls from the women in Harrisburg saying, if you don't run for leader, we'll never have a woman leader. If you don't step up and try, we'll never be able to have a woman in charge of this caucus. And I said, they're not going to choose me. I've been here 5 years. But another leadership election, I had a colleague, of course, run against me, and I too beat that man. And in doing that, I sat down at the redistricting table as the first woman to represent our caucus, the first person of color to intentionally draw a fair map that was representative of Pennsylvania. Immediately after the first race in the fair map, we flipped 12 seats. And the next thing I know, I'm running for Speaker of the State House. But it didn't happen in one day, and it didn't happen by accident. Because when I was the minority leader, I found myself into a circle that Ashanti created called Seated Together. It was in the summer, first of 2021, and then we completed our program in 2022, that I was in a circle with now Congresswoman Amelia Sykes, who flipped a seat in Ohio, but she too was the minority leader, that I was working with another leader from Oregon, now Congresswoman Janelle Bynum, who also flipped a seat, that I was in a group with now State Senator London Lamar in Tennessee. Women who, like myself, did not plan to run for office, so we had not sought out opportunities like Emerge, but it's seated together that finds Black women who are currently holding office and prepares us to literally change our sight and enhance and enlarge our vision and leadership. So I just want to take a moment to say thank you. The things that I learned in that training program continue to stay with me because it's learning how to remain fierce while also maintaining your dignity and composure when people are constantly trying to undermine you every single day. And I don't have to tell you how fun it is to be in the slimmest majority in the country. That's right, just one seat. I sleep very well at night. No new gray hairs, nothing like that. Every single day is easy, but honestly, it's the things that I've learned through Emerge that made sure that at every single time I'm at the budget table, that working families in Pennsylvania walk away with wins. Last year, our Senate Republican majority did their best to ensure we did not have a state budget and that we were the last state to do one. But that's all right, because no matter how long it took, we walked away getting 900,000 working women in Pennsylvania for the first time, the Working Pennsylvania Tax Credit. They got $800 to $1,000 back this year when filing their taxes. Also, we made sure that people of color all across the Commonwealth got a bill done that I'd been working on since 2019, the Pennsylvania Crown Act, creating a respectful, open world for natural hair. And of course, California started that back in 2019, but it took us in the Commonwealth a little bit longer. But no matter how long it takes, we know through our training with Emerge what it takes. And sitting at this lunch, listening to our next Attorney General, Cannizzaro in Nevada, and our current Attorneys General, Clark and Campbell, we're reminded why women are needed on the front line today. Aren't we reminded that? And when you ask, how can we have more women prepared for these moments to combat the chaos, to defend our Constitution, to stand up for what's right, it will take your investment in Emerge. We appreciate all that you've done this far, but we recognize that it's my Emerge sisters and I that are perfect examples of the work that needs to be done in this country. And that if we build it, it will continue to grow, and we will find ourselves having a pipeline of women who will, like our Madam Vice President, are ready, prepared for any office in the land. So I'm here to continue on Ashanti's ask from earlier in the program. We have a special matching investor. Whatever you give today will be matched up to $100,000. How many of you are ready to invest in Emerge? If you take a look at the screen, a QR code will show up, or of course, on every single table, there's a QR code in the middle of your tables, and some of us are old school. We have envelopes right inside because everybody doesn't want to give digitally, and that is not a problem. So whatever you're most comfortable doing, go ahead and pull out those phones. I see some of you are getting ready. We want you to scan those QR codes if you are comfortable supporting Emerge online, and we want you to get yourself prepared. And while I have your attention, I can't go any further in the program without thanking Gretchen Sisson. Can we give her a big round of applause? Gretchen, you are keeping your mentor's work alive and well. We salute you. Thank you. Now, for those who are watching online, we're asking for you two to give the links that provide you an opportunity for you to click. If you today can give $25,000, that will fund a boot camp to train women who are on the ballot right now, or an in-person session in Washington, D.C. of Seated Together, the program that I completed in 2026. If you give $10,000 today, that will expand recruitment efforts to reach younger women and women of color who are ready to step forward. If you give $5,000 today, that will, of course, expand Emerge's training programs across more states. As Ashanti said, the goal is remaining the same, to train women in all 50 states and territories. For $2,500, you can strengthen our support systems to ensure that more women have access to this pipeline. Sometimes that means providing women in rural communities an opportunity to be in these spots. Sometimes we need things that many of us in urban cores take for granted, like access to Wi-Fi. I see some heads nodding, but in many parts of our nation, in many parts especially of Pennsylvania, that is actually a barrier and obstacle to connectivity and being able to participate in a program like this. But every single dollar that you give today will help build the next generation of leaders. Leaders who will step up, who will run for office, and who will deliver their communities. This is how we will meet the moment, and we do have an ambitious goal today. So I'm going to take a moment to check in with Ashley to see how you're doing. I saw some phones come open, but we want to check in real time to make sure we can get that $100,000 match. Let's take a moment and clap our hands while I check in. Ashley says we're halfway there. So give yourselves a round of applause. Knowing that we've already raised $50,000 is significant. We're very close to our goal, and if you have already been a part of that first $50,000, thank you, thank you, thank you. We really appreciate everyone who's considering that you realize now is the moment to click on that link or to complete your envelope so that we can get that $100,000 matching donation for today. Continue to scan the code and remember that every additional gift allows Emerge to reach more women, train more candidates, and can continue to build a powerful network across the country. So let's keep it going. Thank you for being a part of this work. Thank you for believing in women's leadership, and thank you, Emerge, for helping to meet the moment. Thank you.